Good evening to those who will listen. It is February 28th, 2018, 6:32 p.m. Actually, let me look one thing real quick. You can still see this. You can still see this light over. Well, that stupid street light out there is screwing things up, but you can still see like this glow on the horizon to the southwest. West is like way over here, and then we still got all this through there. Sorry about the reflection from the lights inside. Okay, that was something minor, but I wanted to share this, and I want to give all credit here for this story here to the Watchmen YouTube channel. They did a story today, just a little while ago. They put out, will May 14, 2018 usher in Daniel's 70 weeks prophecy? And if you watched my videos yesterday, I was talking about that, about Daniel's 70 weeks. I'm not sure how exactly the 70 weeks ties into the embassy announcement and the embassy actual moving to Jerusalem. But I just think it's important, and I'm not sure exactly how, but I just want you to watch this because I think it's very important with prophecy coming up. And I, again, give all credit to the YouTube channel, The Watchmen, for this story. And please subscribe to The Watchmen. I truly love this channel. It is really good.
Welcome to The Watchmen YouTube channel. This channel is all about world news and Bible prophecy, pointing to the soon return of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Great. He shall be a blessing.
If you want to read these verses, please pause it on there. I'm going to skip forward.
You will be blessed. If you curse Israel, you will be cursed. In the last days, Jerusalem will be the focal point of world politics, as we read in Zechariah 12:2 and 3. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of drunkenness to all the surrounding peoples, when the prophecy is unfolding right before our very eyes.
We are joined here today by Palestinian Authority President Abbas. I'm sorry he declined to stay in the chamber to hear the remarks of others. Even though he has left the room, I will address the balance of my remarks to him. President Abbas, when the new American administration came into the office last January, we did so against the fresh backdrop of the passage of Security Council Resolution 2334. In the waning days of the previous American administration, the United States made a serious error in allowing that
Obama passed that through.
Resolution 2334 was wrong on many levels. I'm not going to get into the substance now. But beyond the substance, perhaps its biggest flaw was that it encouraged the false notion that Israel can be pushed into a deal that undermines its vital interests, damaging the prospects for peace by increasing mistrust between the Israelis and the Palestinians. I sit here today offering the outstretched hand of the United States to the Palestinian people in the cause of peace. We are fully prepared to look to a future of prosperity and coexistence. We welcome you as the leader of the Palestinian people here today. But I will decline the advice I was recently given by your top negotiator, Saeb Erekat. I will not shut up. Rather, I will respectfully speak some hard truths. The United States knows the Palestinian leadership was very unhappy with the decision to move our embassy to Jerusalem. You don't have to like that decision. You don't have to praise it. You don't even have to accept it. But know this, that decision will not change.
The news the U.S. Embassy would move from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem on May 14th came not in a communique, but in a tweet from Israel's intelligence minister. I would like to congratulate Donald Trump on his decision to transfer the U.S. Embassy on Israel's 70th Independence Day. No greater gift than that. A short time later, the U.S. President Donald Trump confirmed the news in a speech.
I was hit by more countries and more pressure and more people calling, begging me, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. I said, we have to do it. It's the right thing to do.
It was in December Trump announced he was moving the embassy to Jerusalem. And he angered those who said the U.S. was basically giving Jerusalem to Israel, outside of final status talks with the Palestinians. The Palestinian president Mahmoud Abbas was among those who condemned Trump. But at the UN Security Council this week, it was clear Abbas had moved on. He told ambassadors the era of the U.S. as an honest broker is over, and that it's time to try something new.
We called for the convening of an international peace conference by mid-2018, based on international law and relevant UN resolutions, with broad international participation, including the two concerned parties and regional and international stakeholders.
One Palestinian politician says the embassy is an affront to his community.
They choose this date, and this represents a very serious provocation to the Palestinian side. Besides the fact that moving the embassy to Jerusalem is by itself a participation in violation of international law.
A U.S.-based analyst called the moving date very bad foreign policy.
Rather than just giving Jerusalem away to the Israelis, what he could have done and said, we will acknowledge Jerusalem as the capital of Israel if you dismantle all illegal settlements. And so what he's done now is he's given away a very big, valuable check and essentially gotten nothing in return.
The ambassador, David Friedman, and a few aides will join current consulate staff at their office in Jerusalem. A new building won't be built for several years. There's no denying the embassy move will affect any and all peace talks going forward.
On May 14, 1948, a major Bible prophecy was fulfilled concerning Israel, as we read in Isaiah 66:8. Who has heard such a thing? Who has seen such things? Shall the earth be made to give birth in one day, or shall a nation be born at once? For as soon as Zion was in labor, she gave birth to her children. On the evening of May 14, 1948, at precisely 4 p.m., the members of the People's Council in Israel signed the proclamation, and the declaration was made that the State of Israel is established. This meeting is adjourned. Israel not only became a nation, but also was literally brought forth as a nation in one day, just as the prophet Isaiah foretold. On May 14, 2018, 7 years later, on the very anniversary, Israel became a nation fulfilling Bible prophecy. The U.S. Embassy will move to Jerusalem. The number 70 is very significant in the Bible. As the 70th anniversary of Regather Israel approaches, will it be a time of prophetic fulfillment? God has set aside a 7-year period, known as the time of Jacob's trouble, or the 7-year tribulation, to save a remnant of Jews. The prophecies of both Jeremiah and Daniel are crucial in unlocking the mysteries of the book of Revelation. In both Jeremiah's and Daniel's prophecies, God worked things out with the number 70. Jeremiah's prophecy concerns the nation of Israel and is referred to as the time of Jacob's trouble, as we read in Jeremiah 29, verses 7 and 10. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it, and it is the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. For thus says the Lord, after 70 years are completed at Babylon, I will visit you and perform my good word toward you, and cause you to return to this place. The prophet Daniel found himself and his people, the Jews, in Babylonian captivity. God allowed the nation of Israel to be taken captive for their unfaithfulness. One day, while reading through the scrolls of the prophet Jeremiah, Daniel had an amazing discovery, as we read in Daniel 9:1-3. In the first year of Darius, the son of Ahasuerus, of the lineage of the Medes, who was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans, in the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by the books of the number of the years specified by the word of the Lord through Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem. Then I set my face toward the Lord God to make requests by prayer and supplications with fasting, sackcloth, and ashes. As it turns out, Jeremiah had already prophesied that this would take place for a 70-year period. Daniel was so moved and shaken by his discovery that he immediately set out to seek the Lord his God and plead for mercy on Israel and the Jewish people. In the midst of his amazing prayer, the prophet Daniel was given a vision of the end times told to him by the angel Gabriel concerning the Jewish people, having to do again with the number 70, as we read in Daniel 9:24-27. Daniel 9:24-27 70 weeks are determined for your people and for your holy city, to finish the transgression, to make an end of sins, to make reconciliation for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. Weeks is the Hebrew word Shabuah, which means literally 7, a week, specifically of years. What Daniel's prophecy is saying is there are 77s of years. There is one 7-year period for each week. When you take 70 weeks times 7, you get 490 years. You can translate Daniel 9:24 like this: 490 years are determined for your people and for your holy city, to finish the transgression, to make an end of sins, to make reconciliation for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. The prophecy begins by stating that 6 things will be accomplished regarding the Jewish people during a period of 490 years. Number 1, to finish the transgression, which refers to the rejection of Jesus as their Messiah. Number 2, to make an end of sins. This period will also witness an end of sin for the Jews. Number 3, to make reconciliation for iniquity. The third thing that will happen is the Jews will accept Jesus as their Messiah. Number 4, to bring in everlasting righteousness. This will happen when Jesus establishes his earthly kingdom. Number 5, to seal up vision and prophecy. The fifth achievement will be the fulfillment of all prophecy concerning the Messiah, Jesus Christ. Number 6, and to anoint the most holy. The final goal to be achieved at the end of the 70 weeks of years is the anointing of the Messiah as King of Kings. None of the things listed in verse 24 have found fulfillment in this prophecy concerning the Jewish people. Daniel's prophecy continues in verse 25. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the command to restore and build Jerusalem until Messiah the Prince, there shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The streets shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublesome times.
I just want to stop there for a second. The 70 weeks, it says the commandment to go out and rebuild Jerusalem. They've already started rebuilding the streets, and they've already built a wall. I can go into that. It's a longer story, but they built a wall around Jerusalem, underground actually, and it's a wall that has radar so they can detect if anybody's building tunnels underneath to try to go through the city and then up, the terror tunnels that they were building. This wall is supposed to prevent that from anybody getting through, and they will be able to detect it if somebody's trying to get through. What else was there? There was the wall, the streets, and then the 70 weeks is there'll be a commandment to go out, and then there's 70 weeks left, and that means, I believe, to the end of the first part of the tribulation and the start of the second 3.5 years. At this point, the 69 weeks that go by, there's one more week, and in that week, the daily sacrifices are started and stopped midweek. And then the Antichrist is the one that is supposed to stop the daily sacrifices from happening, and then he reveals himself. So there's that. I don't know if there's any more on this or not.
The first part of verse 25 was fulfilled when the Persian king Artaxerxes issued a decree to restore and build Jerusalem on March 14th, 445 BC.
Now there's things about this that there are people that have said that the Daniel 70 weeks has already happened, and that's what they're explaining here. If that's true, then the 70 weeks at the end doesn't make any sense. But I'm just trying to keep this as an opening. Keep your mind open about this. If 70 weeks hasn't happened and it's getting ready to start, maybe it's starting on May 14th. If that was true, now just put this into your mind. If the 70 weeks starts when May 14th happens, the embassy and the 70-year anniversary of Israel's independence, that would mean we are already in the first 3.5 years of tribulation. And then the 70 weeks are the last 490 days of the first part of the tribulation. And I don't want to confuse people, but this something that I've had on my mind for a while. Is this prophecy literal, or is it through metaphors? You know, is it 490 years, or is it 490 days? Has this already happened, or has it still yet to come? Because it says in the at the end of the first 3.5 years, that's when the Antichrist is revealed. Well, we know the Antichrist hasn't been revealed yet, so that's a little bit of a confusing thing. I'm going to let this go on a little more.
The second part of verse 25, until Messiah the Prince, was fulfilled when Jesus made his triumphal entry into Jerusalem on April 6, 32 AD. From the time King Artaxerxes made the decree to restore and build Jerusalem until Messiah the Prince was 7 weeks and 62 weeks, which equals 69 weeks or 483 years. Verse 26. And after the 62 weeks, Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince who is to come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. The end of it shall be with a flood. Until the end of the war, desolations are determined.
Okay, and now, if the 490 years has already passed, and when Jesus died, there's been more than 2,000 years that have gone by. What happened? There would only be 7 years left. See, this is where it's confusing to me, and hopefully somebody else can elaborate on this, because it's kind of confusing to me. If he's already, if the 490 years, 70 weeks has already passed, and there's only 1 week left, 7 years, that would have ended thousands of years ago. So that part doesn't make sense to me.
Verse 26 was fulfilled when Jesus was crucified on the cross, and the Romans in 70 AD destroyed the second temple that was prophesied to be built in verse 25, after Christ presented himself to Israel as their Messiah on Palm Sunday and was subsequently cut off. A nearly 2,000-year gap ensued when Christ...
See, that's where there's Irving Baxter says that too. There's a big gap. But why wouldn't God put in the Bible that there's a gap between these times? So that's the part that confuses me and doesn't make sense to me. Why is there suddenly a gap, of 2,000 years in between these 490 years? It doesn't make sense. Well, 483 years. So supposedly, Jesus was crucified, the temple was destroyed. There was 483 years that went by. Then there was only 7 years left. Well, that would have ended way back. And not, I just don't understand the gap. The gap to me just doesn't make any sense.
Was cut off. The time clock for the Jewish nation of Israel was put on pause, and the church age began. Then, on May 14th, 1948, Israel was once again back in the land, fulfilling Isaiah 66:8, essentially turning off the pause button. And that was significant because Israel had to be back in the land before the prophecy in Daniel 9:24 through 27 could be fulfilled. God had dealt with Israel as a nation up to the time when Messiah was cut off. He does so again when he resumes his plan with Israel for the 70th week, the final 7 years, as we read in verse 27. Then he, the Antichrist, shall confirm a covenant with many, who is Israel, the Palestinians, and possibly other Muslim nations for 1 week, which is 7 years.
Now, here's another thing, too. It's supposed to be a covenant with for 7 years. 1 week in this thing, but what is if it's literal? A literal 1 week. And then it breaks down within that 1 week, an actual 7 days, not 7 years. And instead of it being in the middle of the 3.5 years, what is if it's in the middle of its 3.5 days? I'm just throwing that out there because this part just doesn't make sense to me.
In the middle of the week, 3.5 years, he, the Antichrist, shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering. And on the wing of abominations shall be one who makes desolate, even until the consummation, which is determined, is poured out on the desolate. The Apostle Paul tells us what this abomination shall be one who makes desolate is in 2 Thessalonians 2:4, who, speaking of the Antichrist, opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Jesus, further expounded on what this abomination shall be one who makes desolate is in Matthew 24:15 through 18. Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, whoever reads, let him understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let him who is on the housetop not go down to take anything out of his house, and let him who is in the field not go back. Be rebuilt third temple and proclaims to be God and demands to be worshipped as God, that the Jewish people are to flee to the mountains and to do so in a hurry. With world conditions rapidly building to a point of readiness for the events of the 70th week of Daniel, the church more than ever needs to get its spiritual house in order. Today, more than at any time in the last 2,000 years, the church can well expect the fulfillment of Daniel's 70th week prophecy and the return of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, as God.
So, I don't want to make this too long. It's already really long. But it's an important subject, and Daniel's 70 weeks has always confused me, and I always wanted to know the Daniel 70 weeks. And I've heard lots of people, Bible prophecy people, talking about Daniel 70 weeks and that it's already happened. Or at least the 69 weeks have already happened and we're just waiting for this last week. But the pause, the gap in between just confuses me. If anybody's got any comments or ideas about this, let me know, please, because it's very confusing, and I've been praying a lot about this to reveal the 70 weeks. But from what I get, maybe the 70-year anniversary of Israel has something to do with it. That's 70 years, not 70 weeks. But maybe it's determined that way. I'm not sure. But I don't know. Some of it just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm asking for help with this part. And I just want to, we'll get more into Daniel 70 weeks later too. But I don't know when. But this has been coming up a lot lately, especially with the embassy move coming, and then now this. I talked about it yesterday, and then the Watchman puts this up on there, and I want to give all credit again to the Watchman for putting this video up. Thank you so much, and thank you guys for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Please comment if you have any thoughts or ideas or any more insight into this. Thank you. God bless.